Hey, it's the second in a series of mindset videos that I've produced just to try and get our heads around some of the things that go through my mind, but also are trying to help bring up your strategy. And really what this one is about is more about getting better. And how do things get better? And I think it comes from ideas. Now, I don't think someone set out to build the Golden Gate Bridge or to build the Empire State Building functionally after they just came up with a plan. They got the idea first, and the thought process about the idea is interesting because where did it come from? Like, there wasn't this sort of mirage that someone saw. It's an idea that was brought to them. And how was this idea brought to them? Again, we're thinking about how do we improve ourselves and what creates this improving factor. And really this is an interesting subject because it talks about how do we really take ourselves to the next level. Now, this podcast that I've been doing called Step Up talks a lot about, with leaders, about how they've been able to move themselves and shift themselves. And I think it comes back to really where do these ideas come from, and the creationism and practicing. So when we talk about practicing, we talk about practicing rituals. Now, these rituals are the thing that I think is the key, and this is what I wanted to kind of bring up, which is that it's forming these habits that create the rituals, that create the creationism to build those ideas. So it's really sort of thinking about what are the things that's going to change in your life, or things you want to change in your life. What are the things that you want to do that some rituals or habits could make you change these thoughts for the better? Now, one of the things I noticed, I started going to the gym every day. And I told my personal trainer, because I have a personal trainer as well, I said, you know, it's great if I can, go 3 times a week to the gym because I can get back and I can my personal trainer, and I have a well-rounded physique to work with him on. But what I really noticed was that if I started to go to the gym regularly, it became a habit that I just kind of now have to do. And it was one of these habit-forming items I also noticed in music. So I write a lot of music. I love to write songs. And one of the things I noticed is if I can get myself to do it every day, it gets easier, so that the verses and the choruses and all the things that make up a song become easier and easier. So it's these habit-forming strategies. My question is, why don't we take them? Why do we not do these habits? Why do we not take the action? It's always something that's been concerning to me. I always see it happening every once in a while where I catch myself saying, I wanted to do this project, we've gone down this path, why isn't it happening? Why is the action not happening? And these are really big things, and it goes back to that habit-forming strategy. Now, I also think this really comes from a story I can relate to that makes sense, and I think it has to do with how strong you believe the perception of the reality of what you're trying to accomplish. And there's a story about a man who's meditating. And he's meditating to whatever chimes, and he's sitting there, and all of a sudden, as he's meditating, an eagle flies and lands on his shoulders. Now, the story is interesting because he, in his mind, melds the eagle to himself, and he takes off into the air. And now his eyes are the eagle's eyes. His arms are now the eagle's wings. And he's flying majestically, and he feels the breeze, and he feels the strength of his wings, and he's going about trying to look for food, and he's asking himself, like, why am I turned into an eagle? Why am I trying to emulate this bird? And so he's soaring around, he's feeling the wind, and he's able to carve, and he knows he can't fall out of the sky because he's got wings. And the air is just there. It's as solid as water. If you would be swimming through water, you could just kind of swoop and go along and fly. And he all of a sudden realized that thoughts are like the air. They're literally nothing. You can't see them. You can't feel them. But it's there, and it's as solid as possible. It's as solid as a bird floating across the wind. So what does this really mean? Well, it really means to think about these thoughts, to think about how these thoughts really are solid, meaning that if you're trying to bring thoughts up into your world, is that if you can do it and you can think about the creationism of those thoughts, it might be coming from some habits that you could form. So if you can think about the habits that might change the way that you think about your creationism, you might just be able to move forward in getting better. So I hope you enjoyed this. In fact, I really think about this as evolving and growing ourselves as businesses and as people. And that's why actually we named the company Customer Bloom and our wholesale division Agency Bloom. All right, we'll see you in the next episode.